It was 1986. I was in Atitlan, in Guatemala. I was 22 years old and I was in love. I was living the greatest love story ever told with Guadalupe, a Mayan Indian. So we spent 2 months in heaven, and it came the time for me to go back to my country. So I was a bit sad, and she came that evening. I was leaving next morning, and she came that evening and said, "Don't be sad, Pablo. We will meet again." I knew most probably I will never see her again, and she knew too. But she said, "We are time travelers." And that thing changed my life. She explained me that that's why the Mayas, have created the calendar with with the circular time and cycles and everything. They understood time in a different way. And she was talking about that we can choose the future, choose the events in our future. So I realized a few years later that what she was talking about was about timelines. Now, at that time, there was no much information around about these things. Actually, there was no even internet. It was not invented at that time. And I was living in South America. There were not many books or things that we can research about. So I decided that the only thing I could do was to experience it, to live it through and see what happened. So, what is a timeline? Well, it's very difficult for the mind to understand it because the mind only understands what is within the conscious experience, but timelines are outside the conscious experience of reality. So there are infinite timelines. We exist in all timelines at the same time, but meaning our consciousness experience all timelines, but our awareness of the self align us with the timeline that support our most predominant frequency. So timelines are frequency bands in the wide spectrum of consciousness. A narrow portion of vibrations is set a timeline. Now, we all live in the same planet, but not in the same timeline or in the same reality, because the timeline sets your reality. So that's why some people are living heaven on earth and some people are living hell on earth. We are in different timelines. When I talk to my higher self about these things, he always say that we jump timelines like 100 times per second. And I always take this 100 times as a symbolic number. But the fact is that we change timelines all the time. Now, consciousness is a field of information, possibilities, and potentialities. So we download through our awareness certain information from the field of consciousness that will create the experience of reality or the timeline we are in. So why we experience always the same, more or less, is because we keep downloading the same information. Now, I bet you that, if you pay attention, if you go through life with awareness of the now, you will experience different little changes, different little things in your reality. That's the train. I don't know if it's recorded the sound in camera, but it's the train. So I bet you that if you observe when you come home, I said this many times, you come home after work or something and you will put the key on the keyhole of the door. Well, the keyhole is not always in the same place, sometimes a bit to the left, a bit to the right. But since we go through life in autopilot, with no awareness, we don't notice the things. Or the switch of the light in your living room will be always a bit in a different position because we are jumping to similar timelines with a bit of difference between them. Also, change of personality, or when change of the food you like. Sometimes you like something and one day suddenly you don't like it anymore. It's because you change, you jump to another timeline. Nowadays this is called the quantum jump, jumping to other realities, etc. Now there is something going on around that I said a few times already, which is called the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is happening. There are many explanations why it's happening, but there are changes in the past, changes in the present, because they say, many explanations, but that's just experiencing different main timelines, because there are personal timelines, planetary timelines, galactic, universal timelines, collective timelines, etc. So, as an example only, just to get this this idea started, I will ask you, what do you know about the Titanic sinking? In my timeline, in my reality, well, almost everybody died in the Titanic. But I remember when I was really doing astral traveling every day and exploring things, one time I decided to go to see the sinking of the Titanic. And I went a few times back in time to see this, and every time was a bit different. So, exploring these astral timelines, I found out that in some timelines, everybody died in the sinking, in other ones, 6 people survived, in other words, 300. Until one day I found a timeline where nobody died. And it was a bit shocking for me, when this was, I don't know, 30 years ago or something. And I found newspapers of the time of the sinking where states that nobody died, that everybody was rescued alive. I remember also they put some trains to take people home, like 20 trains to take the survivors, etc. But I remember in my current timeline at the time, almost everybody died. So I will include in this video the newspapers I found. At the end of the video I put a picture of the newspapers where it says that nobody died in the Titanic. Okay, nowadays many people know this, but when I found out this, it was a very strange thing for me. So, how you choose the timeline you want to exist? Why some timelines are better for you than other ones? Because I said better for you because at the end all experiences are the same for consciousness, but you have a plan, you have a place where you are going, and you want to choose the timeline that will take you there. So let's say I have the possibility now of drinking coffee or drinking tea. If I choose coffee, well, I will go to this timeline where I drink coffee. If I choose T, I will go to the other timeline. I will split the timeline with my choices. So every time you choose something, you change timeline. Now, I will experience both coffee and tea. By the way, I will be aware of only of one of them. I'm drinking coffee. Why? Because the consciousness will experience both, but the awareness will experience one, because the awareness can only experience one timeline at the time. So, choosing the right thing, it will take you to the right place. We'll see how we choose the right thing later. But there is another concept that I talk many times that most people understand with the mind but don't really understand what it means, which is having a choiceless awareness. When you don't choose, when your awareness don't choose, your frequency naturally aligns you with the timeline that will most suit you. What I mean by this, well, where the goal of our awareness is to vibrate higher, because timelines basically are vibrations. So in our goal, even if we don't know it, is to become our higher self. So the higher self has an overview of all the possible timelines you can take. As I said, you jump to similar timelines because this is a protective mechanism. Imagine if you go to sleep tonight and tomorrow you wake up in another timeline when you live in another country or with another family or in another planet. I don't know. It will be shocking. It will not be useful for you. But there are many timelines that are similar that will take you closer to your higher self. So I always say this example. Imagine a building, in the corner in the city. 10 stories building. So if you are at street level, and here there is a train coming, and here there is a truck. Okay? If you are in the ground, you will see the train or you will see the truck. You will not see both. And suddenly they crash and you say, wow, there was an accident. But now, let's say I am in the 10th floor in the building. So from that point of view, I will see the train and I will see the truck at the same time. And I say, it will be an accident because if no one stops, boom, you see that they are coming to crash each other, So I said it will be an accident. And happens. So the people that are in street level, they would, would you saw the future? Well, I didn't see the future. I just was in a better observation point of view, in a higher position to observe reality. So our higher self is the guy in the 10th floor, understand, while we are in ground zero, in ground level. So the higher self has a better overview of the possibilities or the outcomes of every possible timeline that you can choose. Now, there are two things to choose your timeline wisely. One is obviously a direct contact, a fluid, 100% contact with your higher self. And the other one is doing the right choices. But in order to do this alignment with the timeline you want to exist, there are three things that have to be in harmony. These are your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. understand, you will think that your thinking and your actions are in harmony. But I always say to people to do a simple exercise. What you do is you take a piece of paper, okay, and you divide it into parts. And here you write what I was thinking, and here what I was doing. And then you take your mobile phone or something else and you set an alarm every 15 minutes, okay, or something, maybe 25, doesn't matter. And every time the alarm goes off, you write in your paper what I was thinking, what I was doing. Even if you are in the bank, paying bills and the alarm goes off, just stop for a second and write. Don't wait till later, you will forget. So do this for a week, and you will see that rarely your thinking and your actions match. You are thinking one thing, you are doing another thing. That's why this timeline jumping for you is random for us. Now, once that your thoughts and your feelings are the same, are aligned, let's say after a bit of work, well, you need to align your emotions with it. Okay, I say feelings, emotions, although are different things. For this example, it's the same. So your emotions are the power plant behind this quantum jump. Now, let me tell you another little thing, example. This maybe will be a bit long, this video, and I don't think everybody will make it to the end, but okay. Once I was in Cyprus, this was 20 years ago, I was living in Cyprus, and we were like 8-10 people, I don't remember, playing a game. The game was, we have the world map, the entire world, and we have to put pins in the places we have been, countries, cities we have visited, etc. And the prize for the game was a bottle of vodka. So I wanted to get this bottle, and because I had traveled many places, many years, I was sure I would win. But there was another guy, he was putting a lot of pins, So I counted them and we were kind of even. And I needed one more pin to win. So I just said, "What the heck, I just put one anywhere." I invented it. Hold on. And sorry about this. So I put a pin in Fez, in Morocco, in Africa, okay? A place I've never been, although I've been in Morocco and, in Casablanca and Marrakesh. I never been in Fez. So I put the pin and I won the game. And of course we drank the vodka all together, but something weird happened. Like 10 days later, I received a phone call from the king of Morocco. Okay, not the king himself, a secretary, inviting me to spend a week in his palace in Fez. It was the World Sacred Music Festival. That's why I was invited. And so I went to Morocco. I went to Casablanca and took a taxi to Fez. And in the moment I was going in the taxi, I hear my higher self saying, You see, you didn't cheat in the game. You just put the pin before. And then he explained me that that's the way to choose the future timeline. Putting a pin in the place you want to go, where you want to be. So, what is the pin? The pin are your emotions. So, when you want to go somewhere, do something, have something, you need to set the emotion of having it, of doing it in the future. This is very similar to, law of attraction thing or quantum jumping or something like that. But I learned that that's the way, okay, and this is a way to jump to a more suitable timeline without knowing the timeline. Now there is other thing that happened to me that is very very strange, and I learned a lot from it. Like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was sitting just right here where I am now, in my living room, with my wife. We were watching TV. So I started to have pain in my heart, But okay, I thought this would go away, in 1 hour or something. But the pain didn't go away, I spent the whole night with pain in the heart. I didn't tell my wife, just not to, she, you know. So, next day I still have the pain, and the third day it was just unbearable, the pain, And I thought, okay, it's my time, we all will die one day, and we never know when, so maybe it's now. Although I want to, enjoy life more, but maybe it's my time. And we were sitting here again watching TV, and I thought that I was dying, so I went to the bedroom and I lay down there to die, and I didn't want to bother her, so I said, okay, I let the woman to watch the movie until the end. She will find me dead there, okay. But when I was in the bedroom, I heard my son talking, that he was playing some computer games and everything. And I said, well, I don't want to die, really. I'm not afraid of dying, but I don't want to die. I want to see him growing up and becoming a man, these things, So next morning, I spoke with my wife and I said, listen, I just can't take this pain anymore. I have pain for 3 days, and she took me to the doctor here in Los Supli. And I went to the doctor. They put all these, things for electro or something, to see the heart. And okay, this paper with tiki 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 came out, and with this graphics thing. And the doctor said, listen, go down to give some blood for testing and come back. When I came back, the guy was white, understand? And he said, I have bad news. Something is really wrong with your heart, My father died from heart attack, and my uncle had heart attack, and all my family had heart problems, So I said, okay, what can I do, So he said, you need to go to Ljubljana, to the emergency right away, And so we came back home with my wife, and I picked some stuff, some clothes, things, toothbrush and stuff like that, and we were ready to go. But I said to my wife, I need some time alone, okay? And she said, no, we need to rush to the emergency, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I need to be alone for 1 hour or something. So I, I locked myself in the bathroom and I start talking to my higher self, and I said, listen, now is the time I need to put in practice all the things. I want to jump to another timeline, a timeline where I don't have heart problems. So it was for me the test. All the things I talk, all the things I learn, all the things I read, well, it had to work now, or if not, everything is useless anyway. So my heart self said to me, there is another timeline you can jump, but because he always keep me going towards him, so from the possible timelines, there is one that you don't have heart problems, he said, but you have stomach problems. And I say, I take it, what the stomach problems is okay, but heart problems are hard, So I did what he told me to do, how he told me. And then I went to Ljubljana to the emergency. When I come to the emergency, I show them the electro thing from Grosuplje, and the guy said, they put me in this bed, more things, And after like half an hour doing million tests, I see the guy the doctor talking to another one, and they couldn't agree, what I had. So they called the main specialist of the heart in the hospital, an old guy that came and started looking at all these papers and touching me and doing things. And after half an hour more, the guy said to me, listen, I don't think you have heart problems at all. I think you have stomach problems. And at the end, they gave me 2 rupuruts and they sent me home. And he said to me, your heart is perfect, you are strong as a bull, don't worry about your heart. So I asked him about the exam in Grosuplje, and he said, well, it must be a mistake, maybe they put the things in the wrong place, something happened, because we did it 2 times here, you are perfect. So that day, okay, first my wife was, relieved from all these things, but I was just laughing the entire rest of the day. I really proved to myself, because I have nothing to prove to anybody, but I just share with you what happened to me, but I proved to myself that the quantum jump to another you is possible, is real, and is within the reach of everyone. So there is a way which is, as I said, imagining. Imagination is a very, very powerful tool for setting timelines. So sometimes you don't need to know the timelines. The only thing you need to know is how you would feel in that timeline. So you can imagine a world without poverty or without wars, things like that. But you need to really embody that feeling, how that will make you feel. It's not a wish, it's not a thought. Thoughts do not create the experience of reality or align you with timelines. Okay, thoughts are important because thoughts produce feelings and emotions. But once that you start feeling how good be to walk that timeline, to experience that timeline, and your thoughts, actions are accordingly, are in harmony, are aligned to that emotional charge, that thing will happen, people. I mean, it just happened because these are the physics of the universe. That this is how it works. This reality. Ay, ay, ay. So everything started in Guatemala. Everything started with Guadalupe, and and I was always very grateful to her because she just opened the possibility for me that all this time travel and things like that are real. So I hope this video, if you made it until now, if you watch it until now, well, I hope this video will open the same possibilities for you. You are a time traveler. You are, you know, in a mission. Your mission is to raise your awareness, to expand your awareness, to reach higher portions, higher vibrational bands of consciousness and become your higher self. So you will attract the timeline, or you will jump to the timeline accordingly to the way you vibrate, your awareness vibration. So if your vibrations are part of the collective spectrum, you will be always immersed in the collective consciousness, with no possibilities of choosing. So you need to rise your awareness above the reach of the collective consciousness. There are many ways to do that. This is not a video that will explain this, but everything that you need to know how to do this jump, you already do know these things. It's more about the remembering. It's more about, and unlearning the limitations that we learn through the collective process of brainwashing, collective consciousness thing. Understand? So talk to your higher self. Talk. It will answer one way or another. Imagine yourself in a better place, in a better life. You can imagine, a better world, or just more happiness, or more love, or things. Don't offer resistance, because when your thoughts and your actions and your feelings are not in alignment, you are opposing resistance to this quantum jump thing. So the way of not resisting thing is not judging. Understand? Not judging things and loving everything as it is. Oh, I love more this and this. No, love should be unconditional to all creatures, all things, understand? And not divide your awareness by choosing. It's very difficult to put this into words because I'm telling you to choose the right timeline and not choosing, but there is no, these things are beyond language. Language only belongs to the collective consciousness. The reality and the timelines you experience are built by language. It's very difficult to talk things about the collective consciousness because language is very limiting. But I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. If you listen to your heart self with awareness, if you listen to your heart with awareness, if you little by little switch your awareness to a choiceless awareness, you will be able to live the life you want, to create the experience of reality you wish. So I think this video is being too long and a bit too boring because I'm very tired today, it's very hot. So the truth is that I recorded this video in the forest before, but there was a problem with the microphone, so the voice was really low, bad, and I had to do it again. So last time was like 1 hour and a half, so I decided to make it shorter. So there are many things I didn't say, so maybe I will post another video with a bit more details or a little practical advices on this. So I will put at the end now of the video the newspapers where in the time that from the timeline that no one died in the Titanic sinking. If this doesn't shock you, well, I don't know what will. Thank you for watching. Thank you if you made it until the end.